Satara Hill Half Marathon is at about a 5 hours drive from Mumbai. I loved the whole concept when Dr. Sandeep Kate told me all about it. His relentless work together with all his volunteers has come about to be such a great journey, and I'm sure you will enjoy as we walk you through this entire course, kilometer by kilometer. Yatish, who's my head of fitness, and I, with you, are going to talk through each kilometer, the route profile of the race, entire course, and help you to train better to eventually perform better. मेरा नाम विकास है और मैं फिट पेज कंपनी का फाउंडर हूँ. अगर आप रनिंग फील्ड में हैं, अगर आप वॉकिंग करते हैं या रनिंग करते हैं एंड अगर आप इंडिया में बेस्ड हैं तो डेफिनेटली आपने फिट पेज के बारे में सुना होगा. तो पहली बार जब मैंने सतारा हिल हाफ मैराथन के बारे में सुना तो एक जो चीज़ कॉमन आई सब रनर्स से, दैट वाज दैट इट्स हिली, it's tough, the course is difficult, and that was something that was more like a challenge to me and to my entire team. Why was it? Let's try to draw an analogy from Mumbai. Because I'm based in Mumbai, the Mumbai marathon route becomes very typical route for Sunday long runs. Sunday को जनरली हम NCPA से शुरू करते हैं, long runs go on till Worli, and then we go back to NCPA, right? And there is one thing that we always dread about, that is that pedal road climb and pedal road decline. When we come from NCPA side, over the kilometer 5 and 6, you'll have an accumulative incline of about 31 meters. And when you go back over the 2 kilometers on the climb of pedal road, you accumulate about 37 meters of incline, and of course after that there is decline, which is a lot nicer, etc. But now let's try to think of it in a lot bigger way. How about you found an average incline of about 40 meters odd for the first 10 kilometers? What happens to you? You will start to get scared, right? Think of pedal road. I'm sure all of us, we dread it. All of us think of it, thank goodness it's over, right? And we try to adapt to it, we try to go train for it in our long runs. मैंने ये भी देखा है उसके foot पे, many times after Haji Ali we stop and we take a deep breath and then we start to climb, right? If that is the case, and then you try and go and do the Satara Hill Half Marathon, it is a lot more, right? Over the first 10.5 kilometers, there is a cumulative incline of 417 meters. Trust me, it's difficult, about 1100 feet, right? Now, when you compare that with Mumbai, it's significantly higher, right? If you look at one way, suppose I'm doing half marathon and I start from Worli, go to Sealing, come back and go to Pedder Road, it is about 37 meters. And this one is more than 12 times, so it's about 11 to 12 times. And you're doing that in the first half of the race. As a result, what's happening, it is not as easy for you neither to climb up nor to climb down. And that became a challenge. I was like, इसके लिए कुछ करते हैं. So what we did was something that was really cool. What we did was something that was really interesting. We said, actually हम सब जाते हैं और वहाँ जाके हम खुद दौड़ते हैं, वहाँ के रनर से हम बात करते हैं, एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं एक्चुअली ये कैसे फील होता है, एक्चुअली क्या इश्यूज़ हैं वहाँ पे जब आप कोर्स पे दौड़ रहे हो जो कि आपकी बॉडी में आपको अडाप्ट करने में इशू करते हैं या फिर कुछ और, राइट? द रेस इज़ सुपर ऑसम, द रूट इज़ सुपर सीनिक. The three medals that are at display: champion, conqueror, and challenger. The sub 2, the sub 2:30, and 3 hours. I will hand over to Yatish as I get busy in running the course. Let's go.
Welcome runners to the study tour of the SHHM. As we go about studying the route, we will mark paces at each kilometer to the point we reach the peak of the route. The paces can serve as good reference to complete the race in sub 2 hours, sub 2:30 hours, and sub 3 hours. Let's dive in. The start point sits at an altitude of 670 meters or 2,200 feet above sea level. On the race day, you will see a gathering of thousands of runners, and it is easy to get swayed in the spirit of the race day and launch into the race like a bullet train. And if you do that, you will get hit by an incline right at the beginning. As you start, take it slow. The first kilometer has a gradual incline from the very start, and so use it by climbing it slowly. The next 2 kilometers can be used to catch up some speed. These 2 kilometers are slightly downhill but rolling, and so you can come close to your average overall pace. Covering a few seconds here will be helpful. Embrace the hills. This is where it begins. At the 3.5 kilometer mark, you will be at the foot of the hill. Your serious racing in the hills starts here.
You start to climb, and very soon you start to realize that what your body is going through, you had possibly not seen or experienced that during your training. Your body starts to heat up quickly. You start to see quick rise in your lactate buildup, and you start to also see that you are going to get fatigued fairly quickly. As a result, what happens when you get this beautiful decline, when you start to come back, you're not ready to take off. You're now almost spent, and so even if the condition is a lot better, you're not able to push off, right? And so we thought, let's try and go and experience, let's try and see what is happening at every kilometer and tell you what you should be doing specifically today. Today we are several weeks ago, we are several weeks away from the race day, and so this is your time to go build those trainings, go and adapt to those conditions that you're going to go and see at the Satara Hill Half Marathon, and then you'll be able to go and achieve one of those 3 medals, right? There are such beautiful medals that the Satara Hill Half Marathon team, that Dr. Kate has put together, and thanks to him that this race has come about to be where it is. And you do not want to come back without conquering it, right? Without being a champion there, and without going and achieving your personal best in your own ways that you could. So let's roll through the Satara Hill Half Marathon and see how things are surfacing. In the meantime, if you want anything, please go to FitPage app and we'll be very happy to help you. So when you're running uphill, try and see and visualize when you went for your last uphill run, what happened to you? Are you able to propel as much as you wanted? Are you able to take off as much as you wanted? Do you remember any of your lower extremities starting to get niggles and pains early on? Do you start to see that are you stabilizing better when you're running uphill compared to when you're running on the normal surface, or it is slightly unstable? As you run uphill, you need to focus on being as economical as possible, trying to save as much energy as possible, so that when you are going up, your lower extremities specifically are not spent. If you see the fatigue, the lactate build up fairly quickly, that means that you are going too fast. Your effort is a lot faster. Even if in terms of pace, it might not look like that you're running fast, but actually what you're seeing as an effort on your body is going to be significantly higher. And you will see that in the discussion that we talk about, that we are going to focus a lot more on the heart rate. We are going to focus on the power. If you have any of those power meters or heart rate monitors, that will come very handy for you. If not, you need to definitely look at your effort level and your perceived effort, like as you're running up. Because if you run up and you try to run up fast, you're done, because you'll not be able to run down faster.
Kilometer 4, be a little less than 50 meters of total climb. But 5th becomes your steepest incline, and they continue to be so till the 7th kilometer. This stretch is most important for you to be able to perform at later stages. If you do not get this right, you will suffer through the race, including on your way back, and will not be able to surge ahead even at the declines. Go slow, walk or jog as needed. Keep the body small, shorter steps, looking to the ground in front of you, not too firm on the strides, will do the trick. Please make sure you have trained uphill and downhill both before the race day, else you won't have the happiest experience. Make sure you binge on your hydration and gels, if any. Go slow as the climb comes each time. The 10th kilometer has a mild incline, but mostly rolling. It will set you to reach almost halfway point. The 10.5 mark is very mild rolling. From here, you take a U-turn between the 10th and 11th kilometer by briefly hitting an incline. And beyond that point, it is all about running downhill. Running downhill can be like running in the clouds. And in the case of the Satara route, you would literally be running through the clouds. And here, what becomes more important is to control your body from moving too fast and collapsing. This also requires a degree of conditioning. I have one word for you: training. If you want to enjoy a downhill run of 10.5 kilometers, you need to train your quads really well. This won't happen in a day. It will need training and will need to be done well in advance to get benefits. Your thighs, hamstring, glutes, calves keep you from rolling ahead while running downhill by slowing you down enough to safely allow you to move ahead. You need to follow a few things here. Try not to slap your foot while coming down. Rather, maintain a similar stride when you are running on a flat, just quicker. Your cadence is likely to increase along with your stride length compared to running uphill.
When you run downhill, what happens to you then? Have you tried to see that we tend to overstride when we are running downhill, right? Because we think there is a wind to our ears, we start to feel really nice and we start to run fast. But very soon you start to see that the strides that you think are comfortable, when you're overstriding, they start to hurt you. You start to reach a speed or a pace that you cannot sustain. As a result, what happens is that you start to stop or you start to reduce your pace, and at times you'll see you also slip. All of these are happening for a particular reason, right? And it's fairly scientific. And that is what I want you to keep in mind as we talk through the Satara Hill Half Marathon course.
Remember, at the 10.5 kilometer mark, you take a U-turn, which means the incline which you have endured so far will welcome you as a steep decline as well as rolling hills on your way to the finish line.
In terms of the downhill running, what you need to see that you can only run faster downhill if you have trained your quads, if you have trained your legs to be able to run downhill in your training for several weeks, week after week. Because if that is not the case, this is not a sprint. The downhill is for whole 10.5 kilometers when you're coming back. And for you to be able to sustain that much of downhill, you need to be fully adapted. Otherwise, very quickly, your legs are going to get fatigued. You will feel like you're going to fall down. And God forbid, if you try to still run faster, you may actually fall down. The weather conditions will make it slightly slippery, because as you are going up towards the clouds, right? And so when you're coming down, you will see that the road is slightly wet. And so if you have not selected your shoes or you have not looked at training really well, you will have a really funny situation coming your way. We are also going to look at what type of shoes you will need to wear to be able to run uphill well as well as run downhill well. Here it becomes really tricky. You might want to think of carbon shoes being your best friends, right, in any race. But if that is the case and you're thinking of it here, trust me, you will be in for a soup. I tried in the carbon shoes myself exactly for the same reasons and see how they feel, and there were on a number of occasions I felt like I will fall off. Also, what happened when I was running downhill, because I was able to run faster and I was able to maintain a faster pace, what happened was the impact on my toes was really high. As a result, by the end of it, I had black toenails. And that is what you want to avoid. And so if you're thinking of those kind of shoes, it may not be the right thing. You should really look at these experiences from this video to be able to make an informed choice as to how are you going to train in the next several weeks leading up to the race.